Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Random Redshirt podcast. I am Zach, one of the hosts, and the other host is Chris. What's up, buddy?
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today around the world and the interwebs and the solar system. Awesome to see you, my dear friend. I hope your week has been great. Um, Mine has been, we are both working so much. And then I have to
Yeah.
travel next week. And yeah,
You've been really working. You told me you were just bogged down at work. So,
indeed.
uh, I hope you've had a chance to get a little bit of rest this weekend so far.
Not yet so far.
Not How about tonight? Can you get some rest tonight, maybe?
Tonight, I think we shall.
Okay.
Hey, it's Pi Day today. It's
It is
three.
at the time of this
Yeah,
recording. It is Pie Day.
it is
Today
Pi
is a good
Day.
day to pie.
Yeah.
You know, there's a great little, I don't know, years ago somebody made a funny little meme with Worf, and he was holding a pie,
Hmm.
like an apple pie or something, and a cherry pie, or whatever, and it said today is a good day to pie.
It is a good day to pie.
So how
Hey,
far in pie can you count? I can
I,
do 3.1415, and that's where I stop.
Oh, that's further than me right now. Right now, I am just 3.14 and I cannot fit any other digits in my mind.
Yeah.
Hey, Kyle Newman's like his cookbook, the
Hmm.
the Dungeons and
The D-
Dragon,
the
like
D&D
yeah,
one, yeah.
the D&D
Yeah.
one. Yeah. He has like a super like good recipes for pies in there. Some
Oh,
like
that's
fairy
right,
pies.
because you said,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right, you have
Hmm?
that.
Yeah, I have that.
That's right.
Yeah.
You had that when we interviewed him. You had
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we talked with him. That's right. I forgot about that. Have you made one?
Oh yeah, I made it's like the Elvish berry pie or something. It was so good. It like
Oh,
had
was it?
yeah, blackberries and blue I think blackberries, raspberries and blueberries. So I need to
Oh my
make
gosh, that sounds
I
so. That's like three of my favorite fruits.
yeah. So I want to
Three of my favorite berries.
make that pie again.
Ooh, yes, that sounds wonderful. Actually, interesting. Now you brought that up. I was at Barnes and Noble last weekend with my son. It was his birthday, and he
Yeah.
wanted to go to Barnes and Noble and pick out a couple things. And I came across one of his D&D books, not the cookbook, but a
Nice.
different one. So
Oh
I
yeah.
took a picture with it and sent it to him, and he's like, "Oh, nice." So that was pretty
Oh,
cool.
it's awesome. Is it the art
Yeah.
one? Like art Arcana?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's the art one. Yeah, it's the art one.
Oh, I have that.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, you
I
got
should take a picture of it
you
so that I
should.
can share that with him.
You should
Yeah.
take a picture of you with that book because I already have a picture of it with that book in Barnes and Noble, and you have it.
I have it. Yeah.
And then send it to me, and I'll send it to him and be like, "Hey, see?"
Yeah.
And then he'll think that's really cool. I bet.
I'll take a picture of the art arcana and the cookbook and then a pie.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And put a little toothpick in the pie with a little thing on it that says like the name of the pie, like from the book.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Cool.
Yeah, that would be. Well, everybody, thank you as always so much for watching and listening all over the globe in the interwebs. As Chris said, we very much appreciate you tuning in. Be sure to go on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, YouTube if you're on the podcast platform side. And if you're on YouTube, you can find every episode we've ever done on your favorite podcast platform. And then a good majority of them you can find in the video version of this episode and many others on our YouTube channel. So be sure to go check those out. Also, we have had two really incredible guests recently, Chris, between Aaron Douglas and Michael Ironside. Both episodes are available on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform.
They sure have been incredible. It was awesome. I'm thinking about those interviews a lot every day and just like how wonderful it was to meet those two gentlemen and how they kind of warmed both of our health. They definitely warmed both of our hearts
Yeah.
with just like their perspectives on life and just their presence. So it was
Yeah.
wonderful.
And Top Gun was on today,
The Top
earlier.
Gun was on? Yeah.
It was on the Paramount Network channel. Anytime Top Gun's on TV, especially the first one, I find myself always having to stop and watch. Maybe if I don't watch the whole thing, especially if I pick it
Yeah.
up like into the movie, I have to stop and watch some of it. And it happened to be the part where Maverick and Goose are up fighting against Jester for the first time, which is Michael Ironside.
Yeah.
And then the preceding scenes of him in Viper's office where they're getting chewed out after the flyby and buzzing the tower and everything. And so James saw that and he ran over and wanted to watch it. And he's like,
Oh,
"Hey, we met Michael." I'm like, "Yep, that's Jester. That's Jester." So that was really cool.
oh, that is so cool. That's
I just
excellent.
realized too when I was watching Top Gun, Chris,
Yeah.
we didn't really talk about Top Gun with him. We
We
did. I
did.
mean,
Yeah.
we had so many other things we were discussing, and it never really came up. So maybe one time we'll see if we can get Michael back on down the road sometime in the future when he's not busy, and we'll chat more because there's so much in his career to cover that it's hard to fit all that in like an hour or so.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, it would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we'll
Yeah.
see. Hopefully, we'll have Aaron back on with us as well.
Hmm.
We'll see if we can get something in the works with him, and maybe at least have him back on to share some more BSG stories, and maybe do a deep dive with us on one of his chief centric episodes. There's a lot of really good ones.
Yeah. He's very creative. I want to hear some of those stories that he has from growing up.
Oh, the ghost
And
stories. Yeah.
yeah, I definitely want to hear that.
Yeah.
That'd be
Same.
super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll wear my Ghostbuster jumpsuit just in case.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be funny.
Yeah.
Well, we have had some amazing guests, and this is our newest episode of our Spotlight series entitled Starfleet's Finest, or are they? Starfleet's Finest with a question mark. Our last Starfleet's Finest episode you can also find out now on your favorite podcast platform or YouTube, called Too Short a Season,
Mhm.
which we looked at Admiral Mark Jameson. And that was a very interesting episode, Chris. I hadn't watched that in a long time. It's in the middle of season one, and that was fascinating to watch somebody who had a lot of regret for what he did and decided that he was going to pretty much just OD on some alien drugs
Hmm.
to try to make himself younger in order to be there for these negotiations.
He did indeed OD on the alien herbs and drugs is what it
Yeah.
was. After we talked about it, it was then that I started thinking about the title, Too Short a
Mm.
Season, right? But which was completely like a fitting title, and it made sense, with the seasons of our lives. Um, Now, don't forget, we are getting younger, as I always say. We are, you and I. But anyways, the title,
Mm.
Too Short a Season, with the season of our lives and the different poems, I think, from Shakespeare that talks about seasons of people, right? So that was a very, very nice poetic title.
Yeah, it was. And, if you look at Admiral, okay, just as kind of like not a recap, but to kind of look back very briefly, do you think that Admiral Jameson, we could consider him one of Starfleet's finest, or did he do things that kind of put him over the edge of maybe not being so good?
We cannot consider him one of Starfleet's finest. No, we cannot. I think when he was a younger like captain, you could consider him like a capable captain, and
Yeah.
he obviously like really cared for his wife and had a great like relationship and love with his wife. But he was just the bad decisions he made were really bad,
Yeah.
and
Selling weapons to both
yeah,
sides.
yeah,
Not a good
and so
idea.
not a good idea at all. And
He
so
had a lot of blood on his hands, right? I mean, if you
yeah,
think about it, right? Given the weapons to both sides and them killing each other and that civil war that was going on. I mean, yeah, that was a lot of that had to do with the decision he made. And obviously he was trying to redeem that, right?
yeah,
He was trying to, you can't make up for it, but he was trying to, in some sense, bring that to close and, um, right the wrong, but it was too late.
yes.
And the herbs overtook him. So there's that too.
It was too late, and he was
Yeah.
overtaken by the herbs.
Yeah,
Indeed.
for sure. Now, if you are watching or listening to this, you will know that the latest episode in our current Spotlight series is from season 5, episode 3 of TNG, entitled Ensign Ro, written by Rick Berman and Michael Piller, and directed by Les Landau. And this is an episode I know people are very familiar with. I have not watched it in a long time, but I have seen it many times. And before we get into spotlighting uh, Vice Admiral Kennelly, we had a lot of talk about him.
Hmm.
Ensign Ro is a very interesting character, and I really quickly, Chris, before we jump in, is I want to get your thoughts just overall, knowing what you know about Ro and where she comes from, and this is the first time we meet her, is in this episode. What are your just general thoughts about the character as a whole? I think Michelle Forbes is an amazing actress and did such a good job, not only as this character in Star Trek, but also as the Admiral in Battlestar Galactica on the Pegasus, which she was fantastic in that.
She was fantastic in it. She is incredible.
Yeah.
And Ensign Ro being an addition in this season, I thought is a fantastic addition.
Hmm.
And she adds just this quality of uncertainty, of discomfort, of edge to the female cast in TNG. Right now, everything is with the senior bridge crew, things are very harmonious.
Yeah.
And so there is a lot of great um relationships, great teamwork, and Ensign Ro coming on disrupts all of that.
True story.
Yeah. And that is excellent because as a female character on this cast, I think she just was added such a a terrific dimension to it. And everyone's reactions to her are priceless.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. And you
Agreed.
how did you feel about her addition?
Yeah, I think it was like throwing a wrench into the fire, right?
Mm.
It kind of sparked off some little sparks here and there, little flames. It disrupted the balance, as you said, of the crew. And I think that was really fun to watch. It was as an audience member, right? Fun to see how they react. I will say, and we'll get into this more in a little bit, but I think the character that had the most just over the top reaction, this just straight up anger was Riker. Like Riker just came in guns ablazing. He was like, hell no, this woman is a problem. She's an issue. Like we can't have her on board. Her record, she's a felon, all these types of things. I mean, I don't know if you noticed that, but I didn't catch that in the previous times I've watched this. Just how much Riker was upset from the moment she beamed on board the Enterprise.
He was absolutely upset. Like when she beamed on, he got on her immediately. Like on this ship, Ensign Ro, we adhere to uniform. That was the
Yeah.
immediate reaction. And then I remember when they're having their senior conference, he's looking right over at Ensign Ro and says, "Do you have a problem?" You know, and
Yeah.
he said it much more harsh than I just said it, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, Riker's reaction was very, very strong. He did not want her on the ship for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, he reacted like like she's his ex-girlfriend who broke his heart and just stomped all over it and is he hates her guts and I'm like Riker's never served with her, right? So obviously she has a record, right? And she has a reputation, but he really reacted. I mean, just you could see the burning flames in his eyes.
You just said something excellent because maybe she does remind him of his ex-girlfriend because in the episode where they all lose their memories, like
They do get together.
Ro and Riker have like a nice romance, and then there's that whole triangle with Deanna,
Yeah,
Ro, and Riker.
that's true.
Hmm.
I bet you they had to have been thinking of this episode and the way he reacted to her as the fuel to make that thing happen because it would be so unexpected, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, it was wild. But okay, well, let's jump into this because I find the opening scene of this episode hysterical. And that is Captain Picard, of all the characters who could have been in the barbershop with Mott, getting the few hairs that he had trimmed. It was Picard. And I'm not sure what the over under is on how many hairs Mott actually trimmed on Picard's head,
Oh,
but I'm thinking it's less than 20 hairs.
less than 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. To be the barber on the flagship has got to be an experience. So, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, right. He's the barber for Worf, for Riker, for the captain, and he obviously Mott is a character because he wants to give all of this advice that he can give,
Yeah.
which he
You know
does.
what's interesting, Chris? Because I mean, I forgot about this scene. It's been so long since I've watched this episode. But when they mention Mott, I'm reminded of the episode Starship Mine, where everybody has to leave the Enterprise because the Verteron particles sweeping the
Hmm.
ship. And when Picard is caught, who does he say he is? He says, I'm Mott the barber, which is
He
hilarious because he
does.
has no hair.
He
So he
does.
references Mott. And I was thinking about that episode the whole time in this scene because Picard tries to pretend that he is the guy trimming his hair.
Yes. So Mott, and that was a immediate reaction he had with that Verderon Ray episode, right? So
Yes, it was
Mott,
immediate.
it was
As
immediate.
soon as they asked who he was, immediately it was, I'm Mott the barber.
Yeah. So Mott must really annoy him because he's thinking about him all the time.
Well, he in some way at least leaves an impact on Picard because he says that he's Mott. I mean that the first name that comes to mind, first person, is this guy. So it could be a couple of things. It could be the annoyance. It could be the fact that that was just what popped in his head. But watching Mott like you know constantly moving his head up and down, and you could tell Picard was super perturbed. And then there's a beckoning for Picard to come to the bridge, and he could not get out of there quick enough.
Yeah, he gets out there very fast.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, he does. So there is a distress call
Hmm.
from a Federation colony on Solarian 4, and they receive that call. And I believe that shortly after, that colony is actually destroyed. And then they receive a message. They're not certain like where this message is coming from yet, but the message essentially claims responsibility for the destruction of that colony. And the
I do
message,
think there. No, I think there
oh
was
yeah,
some survivors. There were some,
oh okay, okay,
but you were right though. Like I think
yeah,
the colony's destroyed, but there were a few that survived at least that they um, are able to get and then bring to the Laia Station Alpha.
mm, oh, very good. And the message essentially says that Bajora claims responsibility. So that's framing this episode because um, uh, now we think, oh, okay, but the Bajorans are some form of uh, terrorist group, or there's some
Hmm.
sort of terrorist group out there
Yeah,
that's causing harm to Federation citizens.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. And this episode, to me, sets a huge stage for DS9, right?
Yes.
Because we don't know a massive amount about the Bajorans before DS9 comes on. Now this is season 5. So DS9 has not aired yet cuz this was 1991, I believe.
Hmm.
So DS9 is not going to air for another year. The last couple seasons of TNG.
Yeah.
And so this episode is the foundation building for the Bajoran people, right? You hear the idea of Cardassia annexing the Bajoran homeworld, and you're seeing Bajoran refugees. You're seeing all of these things that are going to lead us to finding out about Bajor reclaiming its homeworld from the Cardassian occupation. So this episode to me personally, as a massive DS9 fan, is super, super important. I mean, it really is. Because if they don't lay the foundation in this episode for Bajor and for the Cardassian struggle and everything else, DS9 either may not be or it might be vastly different. So this is a very, very important episode in the Star Trek franchise, in my opinion.
This does lay a lot of great foundation. Some of what I enjoyed about this episode that they talk about is the history of Bajorans and their evolution and
Yeah.
how they were actually considerably, well, so much more advanced than humanity. So when humanity was still essentially prehistoric, the Bajorian race was already, they had well-educated scholars. They were advanced in technology. They had philosophers, and I think that was great. And then DS9 builds off of that, right? I really love that episode where they have that solar sailor. That
Yes, I was just going to
yeah,
say that. Yep. Yep.
yeah, yeah. But that is just like a piece of elegant and beautiful like technology that you would expect of this sophisticated like race of beings.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The episode where Cisco builds the replica of the sail
Hmm.
ship, right? And that is a direct uh tie back to this episode
Yeah.
because the reference, like you mentioned, about the Bajoran people doing so much more before humanity does, and in this case, they were interplanetary
Hmm.
before humanity was even basically creating art and music and all that kind of stuff. So this is a really, really crucial episode for setting up two species that are at the center of almost everything that happens in DS9.
Yes, yes,
So this is
indeed.
a wonderful, wonderful episode.
Yes, yes. So we have the Enterprise like rendezvousing with the station, Laia Station, and then Captain Picard meeting in person, I believe at the beginning, with the Admiral. Admiral Kennelly. I'm gonna say his name wrong, I'm
Kennelly,
sure.
yeah.
Kennelly,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, yeah. Admiral Kennelly. He is the highlight of our episode today.
Yes, he is. So he's the ambassador, I believe, right? He's the Federation ambassador. That is his role, his functional role for the Federation ambassador to the Cardassians.
Yeah.
So he's a bureaucrat, right? And I think any time you have someone with that role, um, I always think about what are their political ambitions, because that is a high visible role, and he has a lot to gain, right? If relations with the Cardassians grow and get better. So that's always like a motivating thing that I think about for like bureaucrats and ambassadors in those positions.
And he's a vice admiral. You know, he's the equivalent of a three-star general or
Yeah,
three-star admiral in our military. That's pretty high up, you know? So clearly he's done something right or many things right throughout his career to get him to this point.
which makes me wonder what those were. Just
Well, Chris,
judging by how he was.
have we not asked that question many times about the admirals and captains we've met thus far in this
We
spotlight series?
we have indeed. We have indeed. So it's a good conversation. It's a good meeting, this private meeting that the captain and the admiral have. The admiral is setting up the circumstance, right, with the captain, and essentially we have to find some way of finding these terrorists, finding the leader of the terrorists, bring him back, so that the treaty and the peace with Cardassia can be maintained. And Captain Picard, the Admiral explains to Captain Picard that Captain Picard is to bring that terrorist back by whatever means necessary to stop Orta. I think that is the name of the terrorist
Yep.
leader, to stop Orta.
Yep. At all costs, too, which uh pretty sure that we heard that before as well in the Spotlight series, right? The
Hmm.
at all costs. And that's never a good thing. And so far, we have learned with Picard that at all costs tends to make him stop in his tracks and go, I beg your pardon? Like, what did you just say? At all costs? Picard's not willing to do things necessarily at all costs
Hmm.
because that tends to make him have to violate his moral principles and his core values, which he is not the kind of person to do that.
Hmm.
Typically, I mean, maybe once or twice, but for the most part, he sticks true to those. We also learn that even in the 2370s, they still have not found a cure for the common cold.
Well, as we learn, it was a Cardassian common cold.
That's true. That's
So
true.
perhaps,
How?
yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And Picard's Aunt Adele had a recipe for their cure for the common cold, the ginger tea with honey. It seemed, as we see in the episode, it seemed to have helped the admiral get better pretty quickly.
Yes. Yes, it did. And so there was a generous offer of the captain to give the admiral the tea recipe.
Yep.
So during this meeting, the captain is informed from Commander Riker that there is going to be a new officer joining the Enterprise, who is like Ro Laren. And this was a great exchange because the way they all react, the way Riker reacts, the way Picard reacts, they know of this ensign. This ensign has a lot of bad reputation around Starfleet right now for some things that happened. And Picard, asks the admiral like straight out, like, why is she coming on board? Why is she coming on the Enterprise? She has no business being on the Enterprise. This is the flagship. You shall not have her on here. And I thought that was a great reaction from Picard. I particularly like that he says, "My ship, the flagship of the Federation." And so I thought that was great.
It was a nice reminder by Captain Picard, like, "Hey, Admiral, this is the flagship." And this is the first sign, I think, that we see from Admiral Kennelly, who is very intentional and hell bent on doing things the way he wants them done. And he doesn't exactly discuss with Picard before he does stuff, right? It's even though we have seen already, right? We've seen other admirals come on board the ship and kind of take over, even though it's Picard's ship and he's in command.
Yes.
So, and Picard doesn't like to stand for that, right? I mean, we've already seen Picard does not react well when even senior ranking officers come on board and try to just take over and do things behind the scenes without consulting with him first. It is a no-no with
Yes.
Picard.
Kennelly's a schemer, behind the scenes schemer.
Yeah. He's got ulterior motives big time, and
Hmm.
we learn that throughout the episode.
Yeah, he indeed does. So, Ro Laren, well, let me back up a little bit. So, Captain Picard lets Commander Riker know that yes, Ro will be coming on board. Kennel and despite the captain's objections, because Kennelly was like, she's coming on this ship. It has been arranged already. I wrote the orders.
Yeah.
And just that, it was like, wow, what a jerk. It has been arranged. Because the captain just asks, hey, I would have liked it if you would have notified me or talked to me first before you did this. That's just common courtesy and probably regular protocol. Uh,
Right.
and
100%.
and that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing his own thing and he's flipping the rank around and saying, "Yep, nope." I'm glad you mentioned that point. When
Hmm.
he says, "I wrote the order or orders," that is his way of basically giving Picard the finger and saying, "Too bad, man. I wrote like it's not your decision, it's my decision."
Yes.
And Picard recognizes Ro's name from the incident on Garen 2 when she was on the Wellington. In fact, he mentions that to Admiral Kennelly, and he doesn't care. He's like, nope, she's the right one for the job, which we learn later as to why he thinks she's the right one for the job. And matter of fact, I think he even says something to the effect of, I had to pull a lot of strings or do something to get her out of prison. And so we learn that she was in prison too. So now we have an ex-con coming on board in a Starfleet uniform, and she beams on board, and Riker looks at her and he's like, "Oh hell no!" Like, nope, take the ring off, girl. Take
That's right.
the ring. I mean, the earring off. That's not allowed in the uniform. I mean, he like you mentioned, Chris. He jumps down her throat as soon as she steps off that transporter pad.
She transports on with attitude. Like even her
Yeah,
posture coming on, is not she's not standing straight. She's
yeah,
just very in a relaxed pose. And she just comes on. Every time you see her body language, she's got her arms are crossed like this. She has a disapproving look on her face all the time. She wants to be left alone, uh, even though uh, even though Guinan befriends her throughout the episode,
yeah,
which was wonderful. But this is this is a great performance by Michelle Forbes because she's just giving off this total aura of uh, leave me alone. I don't want to be here, and I'm gonna. I don't like any of you.
yeah. I find that interesting. I'm not sure if that was the direction that she was given by the director or if that like the body language, the way she the things that she did, if that was direction or if that was her decision as an actor. But whoever's idea it was, I thought was perfect. If she had come on and been very, oh yes sir, blah blah, you would never believe that she had the background she did. But you're right. She came on as soon as she came on, her posture said everything, right? Her
Yeah.
body language said she wouldn't even have had to have said a word. It was everything. As a matter of fact, that first scene when she's in the transporter room with Riker, does she even say a word in that entire scene?
She does.
Like,
She goes, Ensign Ro Laren reporting for duty, and she says
yeah,
it not in a very respectful way
that's
either.
right.
She
Yep.
just hands him, I think her orders,
But she doesn't
and
say much. That might be the only thing she says, right? I'm trying to think.
hmm
Um, Everything else is body language. And the body language to me speaks volumes as an audience member as to what we should expect the rest of the episode, or at least most of the episode.
hmm hmm it does, and that that body language is, eh, yeah, it just projects this energy of I don't like anybody.
Yeah.
But if I can jump ahead to this is a good spot to talk about this kind of thing since we're on this topic. If I can jump ahead to later in the episode, um, it speaks to her like where people feel like, oh, you don't like anybody, but it's actually she doesn't like herself because she confides in the captain, like privately about her experience with her father and
Mm-hmm.
when the Cardassians captured and tortured her father to death. And she was uh, bribed to follow the Cardassians by Candy. And, she just describes that I was ashamed of being Bajoran. I was ashamed of my father acting weak when he was tortured, and I was ashamed of myself. And I think that was uh, s- so powerful for this episode, and very, very well done by Michelle Forbes. And for a new character to have that amount of um, vulnerability and reveal about their past was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really was.
hmm
This idea that, she put up these walls the rest of her life and became very tough. And I think she mentioned something about the fact of not wanting to be weak like her father, or that's what she thought anyways. And that
hmm
that that scene, like you said with Picard, where she opens up was really powerful. I also thought the scene in the quarters after Picard had put her on quarters uh with Guinan was also really powerful.
Yes.
I really loved, I mean, I know everybody loves Guinan, right? She's a
hmm
great character. I thought this is one of Guinan's best episodes, in my opinion. With the role that Guinan plays, I love how she sits down with her in 10 Forward and basically forces her to say, "Yeah, well, you got a friend now." Like she kind of forced her to be her friend. And Guinan and Ro do have a good friendship the rest of the show,
hmm
in the episodes that Ro Laren is in. So I thought that Guinan's impact in this episode was really, really big, and wouldn't have been the same without those conversations and her kind of forcing Ro to open up a little bit and have a
hmm
friend and somebody she can confide in. And of course, we all know Picard and Guinan are super close,
They
and they have
are.
a really close relationship and friendship. So, and Ro knows that based on what Picard tells her, that Guinan is somebody to be trusted, somebody to be a good friend, and he knows
Yes.
that. So it's really really a wonderful scene, like you said, between Ro and Picard.
Yes, yes, it is. And you are so right about Guinan being important. Guinan is pivotal because that scene with them in 10 Forward, where Ro is explaining that, hey, I'm probably not going to be this on this ship very long, and I don't make friends, and I always get into trouble anyways, and I'm just in a really bad place. And Guinan saying, I was in a really, really bad place if it wasn't for this one man that helped me. And then right then that's
Yeah,
when they walk the cutscene, and that's when they walk into the captain's
yeah.
quarters.
And that's when Ro realizes she can confide in Picard because
Yeah,
Guinan's given her the okay to, right? So there's that mutual respect and friendship between Guinan and Picard where she sees that and goes, "Oh, okay. They're both people that I can trust, people I can confide in." And yeah, we'll talk about this at the end as far as like,
yeah,
how Picard changes his tune with Ro. But yeah, the scene where she enters Picard's ready room and Riker's in there, and you could just see she walks in and Riker's just like you could hear his eyes rolling. I mean, he is so annoyed and
yeah.
perturbed by the fact that she's even on board the ship, and it's very, very apparent.
Oh, he's probably thinking, "Yep, she looks like my ex-girlfriend." That's what he's thinking. Her again. She's back.
Yeah,
She's
she
back.
is. Little does he know, there's gonna be a little kissy kissy scene later in another episode with her. So it's coming, Riker.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I mean, Riker's isn't, Riker's insulted too. He's a person that has, right, as a point of this season, he's already declined multiple offers to be captain just so he can remain on the Enterprise. That's how much he loves the Enterprise, right? This is the flagship. This is the best place to be on. He wants to be on this ship, and then for her just to get these orders to come on, like someone that has been court-martialed by Starfleet and all of a sudden is just brought on the Enterprise by these admiral orders is a gut punch to him, I'm sure.
Yeah, because doesn't he even say something to Ro when she's in the ready room with him and Picard, where he says, some officers wait years to get aboard the Enterprise. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's one of those times. Yeah.
he's talking about how prestigious it is to get assigned to the flagship, and I think too, Riker probably looks at taking command of another ship, right, becoming a captain even though you be getting a promotion in the sense of rank and position of what he's currently in, I think
Hmm.
he looks at it as like it's a step down because you're stepping down from the flagship, even though you're going into a captaincy position, it is a step down to
Hmm.
him. It's almost like to him, it's a demotion, even though in reality, it is a promotion.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree with that because every time you go to the future, you see Riker in the future. He's still on the Enterprise. He's leading an
Yeah,
admiral, like leading the
always.
Enterprise always.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, he's got that. He's got to have the Enterprise.
He's tied to it, man.
Hmm.
He's tied. And we see in Picard season 3, yeah, he's captain of the Titan, right? But uh his heart's always with the Enterprise.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Or
is.
wait, does he is it the Titan he commands? When he shows up that first time, is it on the Titan or is it a different name ship?
Oh boy, we got to go back and watch that.
Yeah, yeah. Now maybe I might have gotten that way wrong. What's the ship that the other captain
Oh,
is commanding?
the one that was
Yeah.
promoted from engineering to be captain.
Yeah, where
That where
I was at dinner with him. He just says no all the time.
yeah, where
Um,
Seven was first officer, right, on that ship.
Yeah. Geez,
Yeah.
we would have to go back and rewatch this. Man, if you're watching or listening to us, I might have just royally screwed that up. But it has been a minute. I mean, honestly, I haven't watched Picard season 3 since it came out.
It's been a while. Yeah.
So it's been a hot minute or two.
Well, I mean,
Anyways, I
yeah,
mean to
watch.
derail everything, but I was just kind of
That's
thinking about that.
it made me think.
Future Riker.
Yeah, future record. I mean, this made me think of this episode made me think about the Picard episode with Ro, where
Yeah.
she comes in, and I think that was a great episode. So
Yes.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Agreed.
So this is good. So
And
so yeah,
oh by the way, Ro also mentions in this scene that coming back to Starfleet and wearing the uniform again is better than prison.
yeah,
So it tells you that, like, yeah, this wouldn't have been her first choice. However,
yeah,
the ulterior is I'm still in prison.
yeah,
And so to me, that's also telling of the attitude. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here, but it's the least worst option, basically.
yes, yes, it is. Yes, it is. So now they have to figure out how are they going to find Orda? How are they going to do this? How are they going to
Yep.
get this guy out? So they have, you know, one of their typical senior staff meetings that they're in, and everyone is expressing different ideas, and they're saying, "Hey, well, maybe we should have a meeting with this person named Jazz Holza that has got connections and should be, someone that can be able to point us in the right direction. And seems like he's uh, well connected and amicable, and also he's a good dancer," explains Dr. Crusher. Yes, of
Is
course.
it just me, or did I feel like once she started talking about how like, hey, he's this great guy, I met him at a symposium, he's charming, he's a good dancer, it got very awkward in there. Everybody's looking at Crusher like, did did you have a fling with this guy or something?
Uh,
Like, and she kind of like, it's almost like she says that and she's like, well, yeah, yeah, he's a good dancer, and then kind of looks around like, oh,
yeah.
like
Well, she's
kind
like,
of
"It's
awkwardly,
true."
like
Yeah, she's like,
maybe
"It's
it's one of
true."
those boyfriends that didn't work out, Chris. You made a joke about how Dr. Crusher doesn't have good taste in men, so.
Yeah, she
Well,
does
at least
not.
other than Jack and then Captain Picard, right? But the guys in between,
Yeah,
not so much the ghost candles and the other the dudes who aren't gonna stick around and yeah.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
kind of
Yeah.
got awkward in the staff meeting when she's talking about how he's a good dancer and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely did. So, there's a pretty healthy, friendly exchange of ideas there, of suggestions. But you see Ro off. She's at the end, like far at the end of the table. And once again, this was a lot of body language that I picked up in this scene, because Captain Picard's at the head of the table. You've got Riker pretty much next to him, everyone else, and they're all angled. Their bodies are angled towards the captain, so they're all connected there, like with the unspoken body language. But Ro, I believe she just like her arms across and she's kind of just sitting like this, essentially like rolling her eyes, giving up this vibe of like, yeah, you guys are just all lost. You don't know what you're doing, and um, you know, why am I here? And uh, I think then you see these different reactions. Riker, of course, is offended. He's like, "Well,
He's
you're so
offended the whole
offensive."
episode.
Yeah, he is. He's like, "You offend me. Like,
Yeah.
just your existence offends me." Um, and and it's the captain's reaction that I think like opens it up into a positive like outcome. And this is just Captain Picard's like this because he hears Ro Laren out. He's like, okay, why don't you talk and then talk about share some information, share what we don't know. And Ro's like, yeah, don't talk to this Jazz guy. He doesn't know anything. You need to talk to this other guy, like Keeve Falor, and he's gonna at least point you in the right direction. Um, yeah, Rose still at this point pretty disrespectful, but Captain Picard, I think he's listening, like he's taking in the suggestion, he's kind of evaluating the suggestion. Then I think he pings Mr. Data, says, "Okay, what do you think about our suggestion?" And then they kind of validate that, okay, it's a good suggestion and let's try it out. So they do that, you know.
Yeah, and this is on a completely different planet, right? This is Valo
Yeah.
2 versus Valo 3, and it's a completely different even Data's even Data after suggesting it, he goes, "Okay, Ensign, do you have a better idea? Like, are you gonna challenge me here?" Like there's some undertones that Data is saying without saying them, even for an
Mm-hmm.
android. And she has a better idea. And you're right, Picard is very open to hearing what she has to say, even though he may not like the situation. I think, give Picard credit. He's trying to make the best of the situation, right?
Yeah.
And, if she's there and this is involving her people, maybe she's got information that will be more helpful and useful for him to accomplish this mission that he thinks is the goal, right? Little does he know. But yeah, so they do end up going to Valo 2 and meeting with this Key Falor.
Yeah, and then that first meeting that they have with Keeve Falor, that introduction meeting, like the captain greets him, like properly, honoring the Bajoran tradition of, saying the correct name first. And that was something, the Captain Picard learned from Ro. And give him credit because he remembered that. Like when Ro came in and introduced herself to the Captain Picard and Riker, I called him the Captain Picard.
Well,
I
he
just
is
elevated.
the Captain
He
Picard, though,
is,
so
yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I elevated his status even more.
yeah, that's okay.
So she was pretty disrespectful, but he listened to that and he used it, and I think that was a good, definitely a good like intro meeting that he had with Kiev. You know, honored them. Um,
Agreed. And Keeve even mentions like, "Hey, you use the traditional way," and he talks about how Ro taught him all that, and so um, I do find that interesting. The way that they make it out, where the Bajorans go by their family name first
hmm
and then their name second,
hmm
right? So you hear Major Kira called Major Kira first, and
Yeah.
then you'll have people like um, Shakar and folks who will call Kira Nerys.
hmm
They'll say, "Oh, Nerys, you're back." So there's different ways in which people are addressing each other. So, but I do find that kind of cool, right? With the Bajorans, that there's this old tradition where the family name is honored first because family is so important. So I really like that. I like what Rick Berman and Michael Piller did here with the way in which they wrote the Bajorans and they developed this kind of culture and set this foundation and put so much into this episode that is so impactful moving forward for the rest of the franchise, to be completely
hmm
honest with you.
hmm It was. It was this. It was a very, very cool creation of Bajora and Bajorans and their culture.
Yeah,
This first dialogue and meeting that Captain and Kiev have, I found excellent. And because
agreed.
there's a debate going on with them, right? So the captain is coming to Kiev, um, asking for his help to find Orta. And it's not going well. Um, and Orta explains to the captain like we're in two different universes. My universe is I'm trying to figure out where the next meal is for these people, how they're gonna keep warm at night. This this is this is my universe. Your universe, Captain, is all about like diplomacy, relationships, strategy, and I thought that was excellent because they are in completely different universes. Picard is coming down to negotiate with essentially a refugee, and they have completely like different perspectives. You know what I mean? Um, yes, but Picard has a lot of responsibility and he's got a lot of pressure, uh, but he's in this place of physical comfort, and Kiev and his people aren't even close to that, right? They don't have any of that. They're suffering. A- And this is after like the captain's like personal log of like the Bajorans used to be such a were so technologically advanced, and they had all this history and this culture, and now there's this. So I thought that was an excellent debate. And Kiev essentially says to the captain, "I'm not going to help you because like why would I help you? Like yeah, the Federation and Starfleet, yes, he feels bad that the colony was destroyed. Um, and then he feels bad that the Federation citizens were suffering, and they were innocent bystanders. But he says, he drives that home. He goes, but when we were suffering, when the Bajorans were suffering from the Cardassians, you were innocent bystanders. You didn't do anything because, right? Because you say, hey, it wasn't our place to do anything, because we have this policy of non-interference. And the captain cannot really respond or have a retort to that. He doesn't want to go there, right? He's not there because of that, but
Yeah.
he can't.
Yeah.
And he can't like debate that. He can only talk about like trying to solve this current solution. And all, when he hears that suffering, that bit of suffering that Keeves people is doing, he does take action though. He goes, I want every man, woman, and child to have a blanket. I want emergency kits here for everybody. So at least he can do something to ease their comfort in that respect. But I thought that was an excellent debate and just contrast of positions that were there. And then um, you know, an excellent parallel to like real world here too, because you see that, right? Kiev is just Kiev is seeing Picard as someone that wants to manipulate the situation with these
Hmm.
group of refugees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keeve's seen this shtick before, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have Picard coming in going, I'm from the Federation and I'm here to help.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, not so fast. I've heard this spiel before. It's not my first rodeo, buddy. Uh, I'm less I'm less concerned about what you say you're going to do and more about what you're actually going to do, if anything at all,
Yes.
right? And so you definitely hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah.
Picard is trying to do what he can, and but Keeve does recognize that both him and Picard are in two vastly different. They live in two vastly different worlds and
Yeah.
universes, and so it's two different points that they meet, and that's important, right? Because it's bringing to light and bringing to bear two completely different viewpoints.
Mm-hmm.
You have Bajorans who are refugees and who have been refugees for decades, with the Cardassians taking uh, the Bajoran homeworld and the occupation and everything else that goes on that we learn way more about in DS9. Now, I will say this idea of there being Bajoran refugees on different planets, I don't remember that being really brought up much in DS9. It's mostly about the occupation of Bajor, of course, and then Terok Nor
Mm-hmm.
and the brutality that Gul Dukat oversaw during the occupation and all the bad things that transpired on Bajor. We don't, unless I'm misremembering, Chris, and correct me if I'm
Mm-hmm.
wrong, I don't remember them talking much about Bajoran refugees and other planets during the occupation in DS9. I think this episode specifically and that's fine. But
Yeah.
this episode specifically mentions it, but we don't really hear about this element of the occupation again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's true. I think you're right. Yeah. So
I should know that, but it's not off the top of my head. I'm not this particular element because there's so many different things that we learn about the Cardassian occupation
hmm
in DS9, especially in the first few seasons. That it's a lot of information to think about and remember, and I don't remember much about other um, Bajoran refugees and so forth because
Yeah.
the Cardassian occupation very much makes it sound like the Cardassians have complete rule up until the uprising, and you get all of the different cells
hmm
that are fighting back, right? The rebellion amongst the Bajorans.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
anyways, yeah. But yeah,
Yes.
this sets all of that in
It
motion.
does.
This episode sets everything in motion for what we see in a completely new Star Trek show.
Yes. This absolutely does. Yes. So once the captain is able to meet kind of Keeves, um, not even meet the demands, because Keeve does not even, I shouldn't say that. Keeve does not ask the captain for anything. Keeve just
Yeah.
says, I don't want to help you. So,
Yep.
but that doesn't stop Captain Picard but going from wanting to go, okay, well, at least I'm going to try to ease the comfort of your, or ease the pain of your people by giving them some like comforting needs,
Yeah.
some things that they have to have. So blankets and emergency kits. So I don't think the captain expected anything from return. He was just
Right.
doing that out of because that was the right thing to do. But that opened up an avenue because Keith says, thank you. I'll share information if I hear it. Just wait weight above, and that's what happens, right? So um, they beam back, and Keeve eventually shares some intel that he hears with the Enterprise, and that's so yeah,
Yeah, because I think in the beginning, the way Keeve acts, you can tell he doesn't want to get involved. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he's trying to protect those that he's responsible for looking after, right? The
yeah,
refugees that he's overseeing in this camp on what was it, Valos 2.
yeah,
And so I think there, or Valo 2, I think there is a certain level of protection he's trying to do because my guess would be from his vantage point, if he were to get involved in some way, that could potentially put all of these people in danger, and he's just trying to take care of their basic needs, and even that in and of itself is a struggle.
yes, 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 absolutely. So they do get the intel that they need to locate Orta, and I think that is a different planet that they have to go
Yeah,
to get to Orta. Yeah, because they're underground. That's right.
yeah,
Orta and his cohorts are underground there, so they go there and they want to meet with them, and
yeah. He
they
they
arrange
do.
to meet. Yeah.
Kiev directs them to the third moon of Valo 1. So all
Mm,
within the same system. But now, first they were like, well, we're going to go to Valos 3 and talk to, I guess, Crusher's little fling she had, this guy. And no, 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 just kidding. We're going to go to Valo 2 because that's where Ro says to go. Oh, now we're going to the third moon of Valo 1. So they're zipping around all over the system.
they are finding Orta,
Yeah.
and
Now, can we really quickly,
yeah.
Chris, just back up for 1 second? The scene in 10 Forward, we kind of mentioned that where Guinan comes in and talks to Ro, but there's a moment before that that I do think is a little bit important as far as the viewpoint that the some of the crew has about her, because there's Geordi sitting at the bar with Guinan and talking about, basically how he can't believe she's on the ship. How could she be back in Starfleet? Like, she's not someone that I really want to get to know. Uh, I think there's a certain we as an audience can learn, like, hey, as much as we love Geordi, I think there was a little bit of judgmentalness. It's not a word, but that's okay. On Geordi's part, like some prejudgment on his part. Like, yes, she has a reputation. Yes, she has, she was convicted and court-martialed for something she did, but he doesn't know her. He doesn't know her at all. There's a cool scene, a cool episode with him and her where they get phased out and people can't see them. They go invisible and
Yes.
everything. So
Yes.
that's a fun episode. But he doesn't know her. And you talk about a certain level of skewed judgment against her, and he hasn't really even given her a chance. So I do think, and I think that's indicative of some of the crew members. Riker was the same exact way. I mean, we've already talked about his reaction when she first came on board. He might have been the most drama queen of all of them, right?
Hmm.
Like, get that earring off. Like, get out. We follow standards around here. Like, just whoa, dude. Like, okay, man. I mean, she hasn't even stepped. She just got on board the ship. But did you notice that and kind of feel like maybe Geordi was a little bit too judgmental there in the beginning?
Yes. Yes, absolutely he was. Uh, and by the end of this episode, like as you reflect on the episode, because this is something we can all relate to, all of us
Hmm.
maybe jumping to conclusions at any time we don't
Yeah,
know an individual, right? There's so much that is there's so much more revealed about Ro. Um, in private with the captain, but then you get this bigger picture of like who she is, where you feel uh, great sympathy for what she has gone through, and then you can kind of understand why she is the way she is,
yeah,
and I think this that scene with Jordy is an important one because it points out what we could all jump to like really
yeah,
easily. Like we could all just totally react as Jordy does because Jordy's experience of Ro to this point that he's seen her, he just seen her being like super disrespectful in these senior meetings. And yeah, absolutely. um, you could
It's
see that.
actually okay. So I'm gonna tell. Can I tell a very quick story, real
Yeah,
quick,
please,
in
please.
regards to this about being having preconceived notions and judging somebody too quickly. So I was on this work trip long, long time ago. We're talking like 18 years ago, 19 years ago now.
Hmm.
And I happened to be staying in a room next to somebody, and we shared it. There's a bathroom, there's a bathroom, one bathroom for every two rooms, right? So you have two rooms and a bathroom in between, two rooms,
Yeah,
bathroom in between, right? And so the guy that I was there, and we had to share a bathroom. Uh, the first time I met him, his name's Mike. The first time I met him, I was like, there was this big tall dude, pretty buff and tattoos, and I looked at him like, oh man, I'm like, this guy. I don't know, but I got to share a room next to this guy for the next, 30 days, month. Uh, oh man, this isn't gonna go well. Like I had these preconceived ideas in my head about
yeah.
who he might be. Well, I'm happy to say that's just so far from the truth,
Hmm.
what the preconceived notions that I had and the thoughts I had. So much so that he ended up being one of the groomsmen in my wedding.
Yeah.
So you never know who you're going to meet. You don't know their background, where they've come from, who they are until you get to know them. And so I can say without a doubt that maybe not quite to the extent Jordy was, but I had a Jordy moment back then. And I am so glad that I got to know him. And I'm still in contact with him today. And I've known him for a long, long, long time. And yeah, and he ended up being one of my groomsmen back in 2011.
Oh.
So you just never know, man. I had a Jordy moment.
Hmm.
Mike was kind of like Ro, but he didn't have Ro's background. I'm not saying that,
Hmm.
but you know what I mean.
Hmm.
Like he was the guy that I prejudged a little bit in my mind, and then I got to know him. God, this is one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my entire life. So yeah, it can happen. It
That's
happens to everybody. That's it's a very specific story from my life that applies to this exact moment with Jordy.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful, Zach. Y- y- I wonder if the writer, there's so much intentionality with the writers putting this kind of scene in this episode. I was reading a little bit about other episodes of TNG around this time period, So Gene Roddenberry is still involved, of course. I think as of the time of this episode.
Yeah,
Um,
he dies in 91, but I don't remember when in 91. So it's sometime
mhm,
during, yeah, sometime around
mhm.
this. Yeah.
I, I was this was a different episode I was reading about, um, called The Bonding.
Ah,
And yeah, and this is when I was reading, it was Ron D. Moore, yeah,
hmm.
and Ron D. Moore episode, and
Is this
they
the
were,
one with the kid who bonds to
yeah.
Data? Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
to
Oh,
not to Data, to Worf at the end. This is this is the son that he loses his mom. His mom gets killed on an away mission, and Worf was the commander of that away mission. And this is actually one that
oh,
uh,
okay, okay.
this is an excellent episode, and when
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
There's a different episode where a
yeah,
kid bonds to Data, right? And tries to be
yeah,
an android. Yeah, okay. This different one.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Um, but now this was in the article I was reading, so I don't know exactly it was true, but this was an article that says that these were the topics discussed because um, the the child, of course, is devastated, but then the rest of the crew members are also devastated and affected in very different ways, and it explores this really well. But as I was reading what the writers were saying about how they were interacting with Gene Roddenberry, there it was a take on it where like Gene Roddenberry was like, well, in the future, all of these the Starfleet officers would be like so emotionally and mentally evolved that they wouldn't really be affected, and they would just understand that this is just a natural process, and the child wouldn't be affected like that either. Everyone would just be okay.
Mm,
Um, and that's not what the episode was about at all, because everyone was not okay. So that was the
right.
purpose of the episode.
Yeah.
But so that's why I think when this thing with Geordi in the Ro Laren episode made me think about. I wonder how that exchange would have gone with the writers and Gene Roddenberry, and if Gene Roddenberry would have thought, well, like um, everyone on the Enterprise would just be so morally uh, and emotionally evolved that someone like Ro Laren's not even going to bother them.
Mm,
So made me think about that. But this is just we're all human, so I think
right.
that characteristic of humanity is still going to be present, in the 24th century.
Yeah, no, I think it in 300 and what 300 years all that's going
Hmm.
to go away, but over
Yeah.
thousands of years it's always been. No, I don't
Yeah.
agree with that. I don't agree with that with Gene in that regard,
Yeah.
if that's what he's saying,
Yeah.
like, oh, they'll be emotionally evolved so they won't. It's making them sound like humans would be robots, like they don't show emotion,
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
think that's just not realistic, honestly. um so, and we see that through Star Trek, right? Where there's
Yeah.
episodes where characters do stuff and say stuff that you're like, oh, well, we do that too today. They still struggle with the same things we do because they're human beings as well, right?
Hmm.
And that's
Hmm.
it's a matter of, okay, they struggle with it, but then how do they overcome that, right? How do they better themselves as a result of said emotions or said
Yeah.
actions, right? And so, yeah, I don't think this is Geordie's greatest moment, but I think it's a descriptor for potentially how a lot of the crew would be feeling, given the fact of what happened. And in the conversation between Ro and Guinan, that's how we learn that, she disobeyed a direct order and it resulted in eight fellow officers dying.
Hmm.
And so that helps set the stage as well for learning more about Ro Laren and what she did. And um, I think maybe starting to build somewhat of some sympathy for Ro from the audience a little bit, like saying, okay, she's
Yeah.
this really obnoxious individual that comes on board the Enterprise. And as you learn more about her, you go, oh, okay. You start to sympathize and have empathy for her. And it changes your whole tone and view of the character as the episode evolves,
It does.
which I think is great.
Do we ever find out later in the series, like more in depth on what happened on her away mission when
I,
those eight fellow officers died?
I, off the top of my head, I don't know. I don't
Either.
think we do. I think it's more of like a, hey, this thing happened, it was mentioned, and then they move on
Yeah.
and they grow the character. But I can't answer that with 100% certainty by any means.
Yeah, gotcha. Me neither.
So our highlighted character in this spotlight episode, Admiral Kennelly, uh, this is when he starts doing some shady stuff because
Hmm.
Ro gets a transmission from him in her quarters.
That's right. And he wants a report on how things are going, and she says everything is going to plan. Um, and we learn, or what we see later, is that Ensign Ro actually beams down to the planet that Orta is supposed to be on, but she beams down well ahead of everybody else,
Like 6 hours or
6 hours
something, right?
ahead, and everyone
Yeah.
is wondering where she is. They think she's late, and the captain like asks computer locate Ensign Ro, and computer says she's not on the Enterprise. So they're
Yeah, I
not they're
think
not
I
happy
think
about that.
I think Riker was about to go full rage on that. He's like to grab something and start smacking the crap out of the computer console out of anger or something. You know what I mean? Like, man, ooh, you could the steam that had to have been coming out of Riker's ears must have just been, you know, full throttle on that one.
Yeah.
Uh, Even Picard, you could tell, was perturbed. He's like, she did what? What did she do again? Oh, she beamed out at 6 hours. Okay, let's go. And also, I know how we've talked several times in the past, Chris, about how you know Picard tends to stay on the ship. Riker will take the
Yeah.
away missions. Not the case in this episode, where it's Picard who's the one that's going on the away missions. And he's wearing his little relaxed jacket, and he's got his phaser and his tricorder, and of course he brings the two strongest guys on board with him, and Worf and Data, and then got to have Counselor Troy there to, Betazoid people,
That's right.
and read their minds and everything. And so it's very fascinating to see Picard taking the lead on this, and I'm sure part of it's because of the orders he was given by Kennelly to, do the diplomacy and stuff like that. But you don't see Picard typically do a ton of away missions throughout TNG.
I found that curious as well. Um, Now, granted, Riker would not have been a good choice to lead this one because,
No, he might have
uh,
shot Ro.
yeah,
He might have just been, oh, my phaser. I guess that wasn't on
yeah,
stun, was it? Oops, my bad.
that's right. That's right. So, but I was surprised that Picard goes down because
Yeah,
this is a potential, well, this is a dangerous situation
yeah,
like that
it
that he's
is.
going to. So he doesn't know what to expect. And that was very surprising. And they get captured. They go down there. They're investigating around, and they get captured. And
Yeah.
they're captured at Phaser Point, and they meet Orta, and then you see Ro coming there, uh, and you realize that Ro had been talking to Orta for some time, and the
Yeah. And
captain is.
Orta's disfigured. Obviously, it's obvious something happened. I think they said something about his vocal cords were removed
Hmm.
and he's got a lot of damage to his face and that to me changes the complexity of the situation, the complexity of the conversation that Picard now has to have with this guy who's been accused of being a terrorist by
Hmm.
the Cardassians, who are their allies.
Yes. Yes, and he explains that, he had been tortured by the Cardassians and they had done all of these things too. This yeah, Orta's actual appearance in the episode on screen is very short. But
Yes, we don't only see him this one time, right?
yeah, yeah, but it's
For
very
somebody who's as
effective.
important as he is, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, they're talking about him a lot, but this is a very effective use of this short screen time because he's disfigured. He has to have uh, an attachment to his neck so that he can be able to talk. And he explains that they didn't attack the colony. Like they're not responsible for that destruction, colony's destruction. And then the conspiracy gets even deeper. And this is Captain Picard realizes is that, oh, I think I am in a conspiracy now, and I'm
Yeah.
being used. And
Mm.
he hates being used.
Yes, because it's happened to him many times.
Yeah.
You'd think that these upper echelon dudes and dudettes in Starfleet wouldn't use the captain of the flagship of Starfleet and of the Federation the way they do, because it's like if you use him and the what you're using him for is bad things, that crap's gonna come up and you're done.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to hide you doing bad things and using a starship captain when he's the captain of the flagship, as he made very clear to the admiral. So it's kind of stupid, to be honest with you, on their part to use a guy who's such high visibility.
It is dumb because all the admirals have to do is go back in their logs, look at the other admirals that
Yeah.
visited the Enterprise and like what happened to them after they tried to do bad
Yeah.
things.
Didn't we have a conversation about this before about like the cross communication, cross whatever in Starfleet and
Hmm.
Federation just not being as good as you should be? This is
Yeah,
another example of that, right?
it
Yeah,
is.
you're right. Let me go back and look. Oh, Pressman got
Yeah.
found out. Captain Maxwell, that didn't go too well. Admiral Jameson, oh boy,
Yeah, not well.
he had some skeletons in the closet. Of course he died. But these didn't go. Maybe I should think
Okay.
twice about this. Nope, nope,
Absolutely.
nope. They sure didn't.
With the exception of Admiral Nechayev, this is where the admirals' careers go to die. So,
That is true.
yeah,
They really really do, and we're gonna see. We might see some more of that down the road. Although I would say Captain Jellicoe didn't, right? I mean, but there was a
yeah.
little bit different though because Captain Picard was on a secret mission and all that stuff. And we're gonna get into Chain of Command Part 1 and 2 in a couple episodes from now. But yeah, I think you're right, Chris. Many a people have met their demise, or their careers have met their
Career
demise
demise.
under the tutelage of Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
That's right. That
So
absolutely.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I totally lost my frame of thought.
No, it's okay. Well, so they have that conversation, right? That
Yeah.
the Bajorans did not attack the Federation
Mm,
colony,
right.
and they go back to the Enterprise, and Rose kind of discussing with them on the bridge and the other officers, and then Picard says, "Hey, my ready room," and he's pissed that she beamed
Yes.
down, right? Without
Yes.
authorization. This is where he says, yep, nope, get to your quarters. You're going to stay there for the rest of the mission.
Yes, that's right. So she's sulking in the quarters. Not sure how
Yeah.
she's going to get out of this mess. And then Guinan comes in.
This is a
And
wonderful scene. Wonderful
yes, it
scene.
is.
We
Yes, it
talked about,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely is. And Rose explaining to Guinan that I'm in this mess, trying to figure out how to get out of it. I got myself in it. I've got to get myself out. And this is where Guinan again, she explains, uh, hey, when I was in a bad place and I was in this mess, um, there was one man that helped me.
Yeah.
And I love that cut to the next scene where it's Guinan coming in and you see Ro following her. And then did you see Ro's body language now throughout the rest of the episode is completely changed?
Yeah. Guinan is pivotal in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Really pivotal.
Yeah.
I think if she's not there as an intermediary and someone to step in, this episode goes very differently.
Yeah. Yeah. Ro's body language is she's not defensive. She's no longer crossing her arms. She's respectful
Hmm.
and she's a little bit has an opening in her body language and she confides in Captain Picard in this scene.
Yeah.
Like hey, I don't know who to trust, but I need to tell you about what's going on because you don't really know this mission. And as she explains Admiral what the Admiral has ordered her to do, Captain Picard uh is shocked, I should say, like, wow, this is really happening that the Admiral is ordering this and the Admiral wants to give like weapons to Orta. Like
And
this
he
is
finds
not
out
good.
that she's been talking to the admiral
Hmm.
behind his back, and he's less mad at her, and more mad at the admiral that he's meddling
Yeah,
and doing what he's doing and the shady stuff he's doing. I mean, yeah, it's a big deal,
it's a big deal.
um, huge deal. And I like, I thought it was funny though. Guinan just shows up in his ready room and's like, guess who I brought with me to the party? Like, hey, here's Ro. And he's like, I thought you're supposed to be in your quarters. And she's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me handle this. He's gonna get angry, but let me handle. We're pals. It's okay. I broke you out of your quarters, and he'll be fine with it because I'm here. I just thought that was kind of hilarious. Like she's got that kind of pull on the ship.
Yeah, Guinan does, especially with the captain, because she just had to, what she said to the captain, Ro's my friend. She used that
Yeah,
keyword, Ro is my friend.
yeah,
And then and Captain Picard changed immediately. He goes, "Oh, there's something going on here, and I need to find out." So
yeah.
very, very pivotal for.
Yeah, and that this is that scene where she talks to Picard about the torturing of her dad and everything else. And
Hmm.
so this scene is so incredibly well written because it I think it completely changes Picard's outlook on her. And I think he looks at her in a different way. And their relationship completely changes too in this scene because of that, I think, and the empathy
Yeah,
that Picard has for her.
yeah, it does. And then the near the end of the episode, the conversation that Picard and Ro have when they're on the planet,
Yeah,
is a beautiful one too. Yeah,
very, very.
yeah,
So this then leads to both Ro and Picard playing a fast one on the Admiral in order to expose his dirty laundry.
yes, right. Yeah. So there's they do send the ship from the planet, the Bajoran ship from the planet. At this point, you don't know that it's an empty ship, but the ship is going to accompany them back,
Yeah.
believing that it's Orta on the ship. And we learn that there are two Cardassian warships paralleling the Enterprise's course.
Yep.
And they make communication with the warships, and the warships say, like, yeah, yeah, we're intending on destroying this ship.
And these are like the top of the line Gaylor class Cardassian ships. These
Yeah.
aren't just, any old rusty bucket of bolts that the Cardassians threw out there. These are the primo Cardassian warships, and that's, I think, also a very important thing to note.
Yeah, it is. So, according to the Admiral's orders, I believe the Admiral ordered this, uh, but the Picard, or the Picard, the Enterprise,
He's the Picard. He's
the
the
Picard,
captain.
yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
the Enterprise backs off.
Yes, he tells them, he orders them to withdraw.
Yeah,
Yep.
they withdraw. And this is in the interest of protecting the peace treaty with the Cardassians, which Kennelly wants, right? Because that is his kind of role as a bureaucrat, the ambassador to Cardassia.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he made a deal with the Cardassians, a shady, slimy deal with them.
yeah, he sure did. Yeah. And then after the Enterprise retreats, very quickly, those Cardassian warships come in and they destroy the ship. Very quick.
Yeah.
And then you get the hail from the Admiral, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love when Data's like, "Oh, it's on a secure channel, so you want to take it in your ready room," and he's like, "Nope, nope, I'm gonna do it right here in front of everybody." Yeah,
Yeah.
that was like a hold my beer move by Picard. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? He's like, "Nope, nope, I'm gonna talk to the Admiral right here on the bridge
Yeah.
because he's ready to catch. He is ready to call liar, liar, pants on fire to the
Yeah.
Admiral."
And he does an excellent job of it. The
Oh,
Admiral,
this is so salty by Picard, but it's brilliant.
yeah, it is
Brilliant.
good. Admiral comes on and he's like, report. And Picard says, well, they destroyed the ship. And the Admiral's like, oh, he's faking being sad.
Terrible acting by the
He's
Admiral.
faking being
Not the
sad.
actor, but the Admiral himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Everyone, all hands lost and, or the ship completely destroyed. And then Picard's like, yes, ship completely destroyed. I'm like, all hands lost. And Picard goes, no.
And the Admiral's like,
What
"What?"
do you mean? No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, surprise, Admiral. There's no one on board the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were controlling it from the ground. Actually, when he said there was nobody on board, because I didn't remember the end
Hmm.
of the episode, or I didn't remember a lot of the episode actually. But I was thinking, oh, the Bajorans are on board the Enterprise, right?
Hmm.
Like the ship's empty. It's being flown remotely, but they're on board the Enterprise is carrying the Bajorans.
Hmm.
When in reality, they're still down on the surface and it's being controlled from the surface.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So the Admiral was this exposed.
oh, he was exposed. All right, he
Yeah.
was caught stark naked, like with his dirty laundry out for everybody to see.
Yeah. Because the Admiral's like, well, they attacked the colony, but Picard knows no, it wasn't Bajorans that attacked the colony. No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was your friend, the Cardassians.
It was your friend, the Cardassians. And where did you get that cold from? Yes. Glad you recovered
Ah,
so fast from that cold.
never kiss and tell. Yeah, but yeah, that's true. And then we get that wonderful scene where Picard and Ro are back down on the planet. This is where the episode ends, right? Um, and this is also important too, where Ro asks about Kennelly, what's going to happen, and he says, "Oh yeah, there'll probably be a hearing, and he'll probably be court-martialed." And um, we don't hear that about Admiral Pressman, right? He just says, "Hey, you know who I am. I've got friends, and blah blah." Blah. You have to think that Pressman probably got court-martialed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or you'd like to think that was the case, that the justice system was ran well in Starfleet. Um, but this is a pretty open, like, yeah, Picard's like, yeah, there's gonna be a hearing. He's probably gonna get court-martialed. He's probably done, right? So, um, I thought that was important to note because Kennelly has, yeah, he's made a couple bad choices.
He absolutely has. Uh, he was scheming all the way back there. And I think
Mhm.
one of the real despicable parts of it is you're scheming with a disadvantaged group of refugees that have suffered
Yeah.
like a long time.
They've suffered under the
Hmm.
rule of the Cardassians. And just
Yes.
and like okay, so from the vantage point that Admiral Kennelly is probably trying to do everything he can to protect the peace treaty, right? He does know the importance of the peace treaty between
Hmm.
the Cardassians and the Federation. And to that I would agree with him. It is important. However, not at the cost of innocent lives in the case of the Bajorans, who you're right, they can't fight back. They don't have a way, well, that we know in this episode. We learn later that, oh no, they do. But these individual groups, right? These folks that are on different planets and they're refugees, they don't have the ability to defend themselves from the Cardassian rule.
Yeah, they don't. Uh, and I think this particular episode is strong at dehumanizing, right? This group of people, the Bajorans, because they're just using them as a strategic kind of pawn
Yeah,
right now. Like it doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't they don't really matter. We're
yeah,
just gonna use them as a pawn to advance like our interests. We're gonna go behind the backs of like everybody. We'll give them weapons. Um, and it is you can see that in the contemporary world where yeah, that's what happens, right? You get
yeah.
disenfranchised people used as pawns and not not understood as actually being human beings.
And Ro is being used as a pawn by Admiral
Yeah.
Kennelly against her
Yeah.
own people. And to me, the beginning of the episode, because of the way they build out how bad of a person Ro is, there's a bit of dehumanization of Ro too.
Hmm.
So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, absolutely there is. Yeah. You know, Guinan and the captain are so pivotal in like developing Ro,
Yeah.
right? And this is like a special attribute that Captain Picard has is being able to see the people for their potential and who they are, you
Hmm.
know, and you saw that like how he was with Data, how he was with Worf, like actually seeing them for who they are. So much time that he spent with Worf, like understanding and developing Worf. And it's natural that he does the same thing with Ro. And that is just such a beautiful conversation that they have at the end of this episode saying, um, you know, you have the potential to be one of the finest officers in Starfleet. Um, and Ro's reaction was like, yeah, well, the uniform doesn't really fit me. Um, and Picard's like, we'll give it time. And she accepts his challenge and she goes, well, on one, you know, on one condition, and she brings out the earring and puts it on her ear. And his reaction, to contrast, I want to contrast Picard's reaction and Riker's reaction. Picard's
Night
reaction,
and
right?
day.
It's night and day. And I think it's
Yeah.
like it's super important because
Yeah.
Picard sees that and it's one of he's proud of her. She puts on the earring and he's proud. Like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, you wear that, you know,
Yeah.
and Riker is not at that place.
No, he wasn't. At least not the beginning of the
Right?
episode, right?
Not at the
You
beginning
take
of the
that
episode.
thing off. Yeah, you're 100% right. And I think part of it too is it's Rose um her desire to stay connected to her people
Yeah.
and the fact that she is proud to be a Bajoran now versus what she mentions earlier in the episode towards the beginning we first see her and that scene with her, I mean, it's at the beginning, but in the episode where she's revealing to Picard about her father and stuff, and how she was ashamed
Hmm.
to be one of her people in the Bajoran, right? So this
Yeah.
this huge arc that Ro has. I mean, she has one of the biggest arcs, in my opinion, of a single character for one episode, right? Like to go from where she was when she first came on board the Enterprise, this huge arc to where she gets to at the end with Picard is just it's incredible. It's
Hmm.
really really well written episode, really well paced, well directed, well acted. I mean, it really is fantastic.
Yeah.
And like I said, this episode is so crucial to setting the stage for my favorite series. Um, it's really a pivotal episode for many reasons within the franchise.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's really great. Okay, so Chris, I think I know your answer. Admiral Kennelly, Starfleet's finest, or not so much?
No, one of Starfleet's worst.
What was he worse than Pressman, worse than Maxwell, or I mean, I don't know that I would say he's worse than Pressman necessarily. Pressman straight got people killed.
Yeah.
Kennelly almost got people killed had it not been for Ro and Picard, pretty much stopping him in his tracks, but
Yeah.
scheming against him. But
Yeah. I don't know if we go in the worst category for Kennelly. This would be a good ranking. Like who's the
that's
worst?
true. That would be.
This is a good ranking.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, you just have the I feel
He's
the slime,
sleazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
slime factor from him.
Slimy Starfleet bureaucrat, right?
Hmm.
He's just, you meet him in the beginning. He seems like a good dude, right? He's got a cold, but he seems like a good guy, and he's got a mission. He's brought this person in because he thinks that they're one of the best ways that they're going to get this mission done. But he holds things back. He kind of lies. He kind of forces Picard's hand. I mean, he does a lot, and then he's talking to Ro behind the scenes, and he does a lot of real sleazy things,
Yeah.
including telling the Enterprise to withdraw, thinking there's people on board, and he's willing to sacrifice those Bajoran lives
Yeah. Yeah. It's terrible.
intentionally, and it's yeah, messed up, man. Those of you watching or listening, you have seen thus far that in this Spotlight series, we have had a lot of admirals and even a captain who, yeah, they're just not Starfleet's finest. We will, however, have a Starfleet finest character. I think one of Starfleet's
Hmm.
finest on our next episode, where we look at the episode Descent, Part One and Two,
Hmm.
with none other than maybe our favorite admiral, Fleet Admiral Nechayev.
Yeah.
That's a stark contrast from what we've seen thus far throughout this Spotlight series.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that, to talk about that as well. Because at least, well, I think those were perspectives that you can see perspectives that are both correct. And that's where things get really interesting, right? Because, yeah, one perspective is correct. The other perspective is also correct. Like, which one is appropriate for the situation? Uh,
Yeah,
Kennelly here is like, no, that's no. You should not ever do what he does like that ever. Pressman, no, never. Please
no,
don't. Yeah,
no.
yeah,
Commodore Stone. I mean, I would say he was one of Starfleet's finest, right? He ran a
yeah,
fair trial, right,
yeah.
in court martial. Um, I think Admiral Satie. I think there's some mixed feelings there, right? Because clearly she would devote her life to the Federation and Starfleet and did a lot of amazing things, but unfortunately she just let some of her prejudices get the best of her at the end,
Yeah,
right? But I think early on in her career, I think she probably was one of Starfleet's finest, right?
yeah,
But a lot of people we have seen thus far haven't been very good. We are going to see some other good ones down the road. There definitely are some other good ones that we'll get to, and we'll save that for another day.
yeah, we will.
But Admiral Kennelly, Chris, yeah, I would agree with you, my friend. I just he's kind of a slimy weasel.
Yeah,
Um,
take his picture down from the wall. If they've got like, if they have pictures of admirals on the wall, his picture should not be on there. Take it down like
I mean, how
immediately.
many admirals does Starfleet have? You'd think they'd have a wall big enough for the admirals, right? Like they'd have like an admiral's wall somewhere,
They probably have an
maybe.
admiral's wall. Yeah,
Yeah, or at
yeah,
least the top admirals. Maybe not every admiral, but maybe some of the. I mean, Admiral Kennelly's a vice admiral. He's a 3-star admiral. I mean, you'd think
yeah.
that he'd be kind of up there, right?
They would probably have some ensigns that have to dust off those pictures. Like that's part of their routine
Yeah,
duties.
yeah.
So yeah, take
Cadets
off.
even, maybe
Yeah,
even
the
cadets.
cadets. Yeah, you're right. The
Yeah,
cadets would do that. Yeah, so they should take his picture down immediately. Take
yeah,
Jameson's picture down like immediately. Let's like It's time to, you
Throw it in the
know,
same trash can with Pressman.
hmm? Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to weed out these admirals.
Yeah, that they don't seem to be able to do that very well, Chris. For whatever reason, they just don't. Or maybe these guys are just real sneaky and they try to do stuff, behind the scenes without anybody knowing. Where's Section
Yeah.
31 at when you need them?
Ah,
Can't
Section 31.
shouldn't
Yeah,
Section 31 be stopping these admirals from doing dumb things? I mean, I don't know.
yeah,
The Section 31 does stuff that they think is in the best interest of the security of the Federation. Maybe some of these things they go, yeah, it's not good, but it's in the best interest of the security of the Federation. So, meh, you know. Oh,
yeah. No, absolutely. You know, this even just thinking through this like more, it's even more shocking in Star Trek Insurrection, where the Admiral in Insurrection, like
Admiral
how
Dougherty,
Admiral
yeah,
Dowdy, like doesn't he know once Captain Picard is involved in a situation, things if you're doing no things, you're going to get found out. It's
yeah.
not going to go well for you.
Yeah, he didn't go visit like Pressman and Kennelly and stuff in jail and be like, "Hey guys, I know you had an interaction with Picard. What do I need to know before?" Well, remember, Picard was originally told not to come to
Ah,
the
yeah,
Briar Patch, right? Doherty
yeah,
said, "Nope, we got everything under control. Don't come." And then when data malfunction, he's like, "Nope, we're going. Let's go."
yeah.
Right? So, um, yeah, that was because remember it was just Data was supposed to be there helping
It was
out
just
with
data.
the rest of the people stationed there that were hiding from the Baku. Anyways, we'll probably talk about insurrection, I would think, as part of this. Admiral Dougherty is a definite case study for
Yeah,
this Spotlight series for sure. But yeah, well, my friend, this was awesome. As I've said many times before, I'm really enjoying this. There's some really sleazy people in this Spotlight series so far that make great case studies to
hmm,
discuss.
yeah, they do. It's like they're picked out of real life. It's so.
Well, I mean, we can relate, right? I mean, we've
Mhm.
seen people in real life that can be like this or have certain attributes like this. So,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
realistic. It's realistic, right? Um, Anyways, well, if you've been watching or listening to us, thank you as always. We very much appreciate it. Again, reminder to go on to Facebook, Instagram, Threads, follow us on there, subscribe on YouTube if you have not yet to get the latest updates and guest announcements and so forth. And if you're on the podcast platforms, be sure to follow us on whatever your favorite podcast platform is so you can get alerted when the latest episode drops. And we look forward to bringing you more episodes from our current Spotlight series. We're working on some more guests for down the road as well to get that up and running. And yeah, it should be a good time. So again, be sure to go on to our podcast, your favorite podcast platform, onto our channel and our YouTube channel, and check out the previous
Mhm.
episodes in the Spotlight series that we've discussed and catch up to where we're at now. But anyway, so yeah, it's been great, Chris. Look
It's
forward
great.
to doing the next one, my friend.
I do as well, my great friend. This will be great. This will be
Yeah, it's
super.
awesome. Well, take care, everybody. As always, thank you so much, and we'll catch you next time right here on the Random Redshirt Podcast.